I think a lot of people would quit drugs if they knew what natural highs taught. I think a big part of that is that natural highs teaches you how to feel good on your own without the use of substance, and I feel that once people know that, they make the switch.
Hello, welcome. And yes, my name is Jen. I use she, her pronouns. And I'm just really inspired today. And I have my brother here. Owen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, my name's Owen. I'm Jen's younger brother, youngest in the family. Um, I'm doing pretty well today. Feeling a little bit stressed out, but with the pandemic and school and all that, it's been an adventure. So I'm excited to have a fun conversation today, and it's always a blessing when I get to talk to my sister. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, likewise, bro. Yeah, tell everybody what you're up to. I know you've had so much going on with academia and you pretty much cruised right through school into the next format of school. So yeah.
Yeah, so I was studying at Ohio State for 4 years. That was a challenge for sure. It's a really, really big school, so ups and downs with that. And then towards the end of undergrad, I decided I wanted to try and see if I could do some more school with maybe doing physical therapy. So I did the application process with that. I got to experience rejection, which is always, a challenge. So I was hoping to move out to Colorado to see Jen and go to school there, but that didn't really work out for me. So I'm sticking with another school in Ohio called Cincinnati. And unfortunately, we're not able to be in person right now. So we're doing all of our learning virtually, which definitely isn't my favorite, but I'm learning and getting better at it. So hopefully within the next few years here, we'll be able to meet in person and get some more in-person connection going.
Totally. Yeah, I remember when you visited Boulder a couple times, you were able to come to the Mate Circle at the Tuesday class and just kind of get this flavor and this taste for natural highs. And yeah, I
Yeah.
remember just being able to introduce that to you because I feel at least where we come from in Ohio, it's like sitting in a circle and sharing isn't really typical. It's not really a way that people connect. Um, and so I remember
Unfortunately.
I know, I remember sharing that circle with you and um, just being able to share that flavor of this is what community could look like.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say something again too about what you said about experiencing rejection. And I know for me, a big part of my life's work is overcoming rejection and really feeling the sadness that that brings. But I remember too, asking you, what was more meaningful, the rejection letter where you got to learn about yourself, or the acceptance letter of oh yeah, someone acknowledges that I'm doing great. It's just I would love to hear your experience about like reading that letter and what you took from it.
Yeah. So Colorado was probably my first choice school. Like when I visited Jen, I visited their campus and was just like on board with it, ready to go. And then kind of receiving that letter kind of makes you feel like really small, like maybe not even good enough
Mhm.
when it's like at the same time, how could I really even prove that I'm good enough if everything that they've seen was on paper, it's
Mhm.
kind of a subjective judgment and it's not, like super personal. So I guess it was just more kind of just thinking about it more and just realizing that, maybe you just didn't get your best opportunity, like like if you would have met with them and showed them what you had to offer, maybe it could have gone differently. But at the same time, there's also like an aspect of optimism where it's like maybe I didn't belong there, you know? So if, you know, maybe where I am now is where I'm supposed to be. So it's definitely not easy, but there's there was definitely more to take away and think about with rejection than just simply getting the okay. So in that aspect, it's like I'm kind of grateful because it led to more thinking and more personal growth and overcoming the thought of not being good enough than to just kind of being like, oh yeah, I'm so good at this. I walked right in, you know?
Right, because we don't
So
need someone else to, like, tell us that, even though that's, like, a bonus and it feels great, right? It's like, "Oh, yeah, if we can't do that for ourselves first, like, it doesn't have much meaning otherwise." But I love what you said about, like, just being able to accept that, like, "Whoa, this is, like, what I need to pay attention to right now," and, like, "Whoa, maybe this isn't where I belong," but not in a way of, like, because I'm bad, terrible, or awful, but just like there's probably another opportunity. And yeah, I want to like dig into that a little bit deeper of like the belonging and kind of what we touched on a minute ago too about connecting. Like how do people like in these days and times like feel like they belong and connect and especially like in friend groups and like what are people doing these days to like stay inspired and like reach out for connecting?
yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of societal pressures and stuff. So sometimes I feel like what we do in our free time isn't really our decision. So for me, like in my past experiences, it's really easy to kind of just go with the flow and kind of participate in what's happening and not even really stopping to think about why or what you're doing, just because it kind of just it would be almost easier to just go with it and not go against the grain and just say, okay, yeah, let's, I'm a part of this, and after a little while for me, it was super repetitive, and I was just kind of like, starting to think about my decisions and behaviors like, is this really my intention? Is this really like, am I in control of this decision, or am I letting the group decide for me type thing? So I decided to make some changes, and I still experienced some success. It required more patience to say no to certain things and continue to be around certain things. Um, Definitely wasn't easy by any means, but I feel like um, definitely time and just getting used to a new normal. It definitely it's been working out for me so far.
Yeah, it sounds like you're facing a lot of like hard truths within yourself, like just giving yourself the time and like what you said too about it's not hard or it's not easy. See,
Hmm.
like even just the
It's
fact that we think things need to be easy or like that they won't be worthwhile when in fact like the opposite's probably like more true. Um so yeah, like what experiences have led you to your choices around like sober lifestyle and just really connecting to yourself?
Yeah. So for me, there's like with just being dependent or using certain things, there's definitely with like, I don't know if maybe it's just my personality or whatnot or my situation, but and like how I was raised and but for me, I always held like a strong feeling of guilt. So for me, like it's it's been relieving in the fact that I even like if I have like a subtle craving or if I'm like, I kind of miss that. this feeling of avoiding the guilt and shame that I would put on myself is kind of like my new reward. So I just feel better about myself, I guess, and I have a little more clarity, and I just feel like I have more control. So when I choose to make a decision, um, and a decision that's in my best, that I consider in my best interest, I kind of give myself like a thumbs up. Like I'm like, like nice job, dude. Like, and then you kind of just do that throughout the day almost, and it's like it just feels good to keep on like giving myself little rewards of like positivity.
Yeah, it goes back to like if you're not going to give yourself that pat on the back, who will?
Mhm.
Like it kind of means more coming from you because you know what you worked for and you know what you're up to and you know like your challenges in such an intimate way. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And you want to know something else I've thought of too? Uh, Probably like the first few months of deciding to go natural, I realized like my days are more enjoyable when they're more consistent. Like instead of going on this like roller coaster throughout the week or day or month, it's like, well, now I can just like, like know what to expect more so like within myself. Like I'm not questioning, am I going to be like super anxious? Am I going to be super like paranoid? Am I going to, it's more just like you kind of you learn more about yourself and you kind of I feel like,
Yeah, tell us about your most recent herb that you've fallen in love with.
oh yes, I am a sucker for Schisandra. Oh, she is just
Oh,
wonderful.
I know. I found her like when we were on vacation together last week. I found her on your nightstand, and I was like,
Yep.
Owen's keeping her close.
I think she was guiding my dreams.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was yep.
Yeah,
I
tell
was
people
lucky
about
enough to get a new
Schisandra.
jar.
Tell us about
I think
Schisandra
it's
and what it helps
wonderful.
you with.
For me, it kind of just puts you more in like a peaceful headspace, I guess. It kind of makes me a little more relaxed. And I mean, Jen says that it resolves some cravings, which I could see. Um,
Oh yeah, like
I
it's
thought,
good for, if like you're having like a craving. I know for nicotine especially, um, it's really good to have. And I know this is something Avani shares too, that I forget which culture or tradition it comes from, but something about like 40 days before your wedding, how like if you drink Shisandra, like you're just glowing from the inside out. Um, and like for me, that's what sold me. I was like, I want to glow from the inside out. Like, sounds amazing. Like,
and it has a good flavor, in my opinion. I think it tastes good.
that's the other thing is it has like all of the tastes like at once. So it's like sour, bitter, sweet, uh, tart, and I think there might be another one, salty.
Hmm.
But basically, whatever taste that you're most drawn to or immediately like experiencing is like corresponding to some part of your body that needs more resourcing and that needs more nourishment. Um, and it's just like, wow, like who knew the power of nature, versus like the power of like an engineered or chemically like, you know, high would be so different. And like I just also want to bring a voice to around like we don't learn this stuff in schools, like we don't talk about it. I think there's such a great like taboo around the fact that like, you know people at a young age like wanting to rebel or wanting to connect or wanting to find something that they click with. um, we don't get a lot of education around it, and we kind of have to like leave it up to ourselves to experiment and figure out what works for us or what doesn't work for us. And yeah, like that kind of leads me to my next thought of like, what wisdoms have you gained from your experiences and with or without drugs, alcohol, addiction, behaviors? Like, what's
Yeah.
what's the wisdom?
For me, the wisdom, I would say the best thing that I've learned or gained is just a better sense of self, really. Um, when you choose to go throughout your day and work with what you already have in you, it's like it feels, um, how do I say, like, I want to use the word rewarding, but maybe insightful almost. Like when you wake up and you are who you are without anything that's beyond your skin or your brain, you really start to like get in touch with yourself, and it feels really good, like you're just like you're not gonna have like the perfect day every day. Like you're definitely gonna be sad or like anxious, but when you're feeling those things, you're like, wow, this is my chemistry. Like this, like it's a blessing to be able to experience these emotions, like maybe I would be experiencing these with an external substance, but instead it's like, this is me, and it's kind of nice, like starting to realize like who we really are, like the ins and outs, So
Yeah,
I'd say that's like my favorite wisdom I've
it's
gained.
not yeah, even that, like, sounds like you would have to have a lot of courage or a lot of, like, curiosity even to be willing to go there with yourself. It's almost like getting to know yourself on a deeper level, like, really taking that next step of, like, you mentioned it being rewarding, and it's just like, yeah, like, I am authentic in this sense, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so true, like, I'm so real. It doesn't get any realer than this, like,
Without a
when I
doubt.
have all of my stuff, like, when I have me, and if I don't get any more real than that, like, what is a copy going to teach me other than what I already can teach myself with this stuff? So, like, yeah, I think what the reward you're speaking to is the fact that, like, when you push yourself to that next level with just you, it's like, "Whoa, you can take all of the credit." Like, you don't have to,
Mm-hmm.
like, label that from "Oh, that other thing brought me there," or even if it is, like, "Schisandra brought me there," like, right, because Schisandra gets to, like, nourish the natural brain chemistry that's already going on, so
Mm-hmm.
rather than, like, flooding your system with copies of it, it's like you first have to kind of understand that about yourself first. Like, I feel like maybe the education comes first, then
Mm-hmm.
you can really embrace and be excited about yourself because I feel like in a time like today, like, it can be hard to be excited about yourself and it can be hard to like really see within and in a world that really values external validation, like we're not taught to trust ourselves. We're taught that we need everything outside of ourselves to be complete and whole. When again, like the opposite is true. So, it's really trippy in
Right.
in itself.
And like it's not always easy to, like you said, it takes courage,
Mhm.
but I think that there's a lot to be gained,
Yeah, and like what would you say to someone who's, searching for that courage or, like going through that hard patch where you said it's like hard. It's not going to be just easy.
hmm
Um,
Personally, for me, a big outlet with that for a while for me was exercise.
mm,
I really, I really think there's a lot of power to be had in just sustaining a high output. Like if you're getting like your heart rate up, like that in and of itself is really, in my opinion, a natural high. Um, and oftentimes for me, it feels better than any other, like, drug or like that. Like for me, it really helps. Just like I get a nice sense of like refreshment, and so that's what I would recommend is exercise, but also just just like we believe in you, like you can so do it. Like
Mhm. Yeah, you can
so it's
borrow our belief in yourself until you get it
yeah,
for yourself. Yeah. We'll loan that
and
to you
like
for free. Yeah, I love what you
so
mentioned about movement. It's like I think back to one of my favorite natural highs, like exercises where you like put your hands up against your partner and you like, push against each other and you really get like your chi flowing and like your life force is just always going to be stronger than like what your mind tells you. And this is the part I love and hate is when Avani says like, keep going, like you can always keep going. And it's that moment that your brain wants to quit. It's like the resistance in the mind of like that last ditch effort to like, okay, I can do this. And then it's like this whole like notion of like, oh my gosh, like I can really like tolerate this. Like I just proved to myself I can tolerate this.
yeah,
Um, and that can happen at any level. Like it doesn't have to be, a performance thing. It's more about shaking it up. It's like shaking up a snow globe and then just like getting to let it settle and
mhm.
let it fall.
Yeah, and I'd say like another like strategy, even though it sounds somewhat cliche, is like how we were talking about patting yourself on the back. It's like throughout the day, if you have like three or four or five or six like small little victories, like let yourself know that like you just won. So
Mhm.
like we all have the power in us, and I think we're super capable of just so many great things as long as we continue to believe in ourselves and give ourselves that pat on the back. I feel like, because we deserve it.
Yeah, it's like those little wins, all of the little wins that I'm hearing you talk about, like that adds up, and like
Mm-hmm.
little celebrations. Like I know something that I like to do is I like to look in the mirror and just be like, you got that. Like you are so capable. You are so prepared. Like you got this,
You can
and
so
sometimes
do
like
it.
seeing my own reflection, I'm just like,
Oh yeah, totally.
yeah. Oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, what have been like your favorite discoveries or experiences since like being inspired?
Um,
And would you have done anything
favorite
differently?
discovery. I would say like just feeling like great, just so my biggest thing, like when I talk to people about it too, is like it gets to a point where I felt like it's like not as much for pleasure as it is kind of like a crutch.
Mhm.
And it's like I've discovered now that like I no longer have to like limp around on crutches, and instead of like surviving, like I'm more so like living, and
Mm.
it's really like I said earlier, like it's insightful and rewarding to just be like unconditionally yourself and like just rocking it, and it's just like whatever's happening inside of me or whatever I'm doing, like that is me. So
Mhm. You get all the credit.
yeah, like and then all your successes and victories are like all you, and it's just nice, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess just like eliminating the crutches and just being yourself unconditionally is just a nice discovery.
Yeah. I love it. And how has life been better, more creative, happier, sad?
It's been better in the fact that it's just I don't want to say it's predictable, but I feel like I can go into things like for right now with like school, I can prepare and execute on like a higher level, if that makes sense. Um like I can wake up and like can more so expect like how I'm going to approach something, you know? Like it's just I guess like a little bit more consistency um has been really good. And just like academically, it kind of just got in my way, you know? Like it's easier to be more disciplined and, you know, kind of like that, I guess.
And in a way too, it sounds like, school can be such a great distraction, right? Of like, you have this schedule, you have like your deadlines, you know what's up, like you know how you're showing up in that form of predictability. And then I think about like your peers or friends or even like, people in your age group and like, it's like again, like they're coming back to like how they're connecting and like if they don't have like such a structure or predictability, like it can get more challenging. And I think
Yeah.
kind of what you're saying too is like finding what works for you. And like school gets to be such a helper, like in this time of your life. And
Hmm.
yeah, like I think about, different ways that other people can still stay connected, even if it's like through art or like through creating or writing or just keeping themselves engaged and like knowing like that they can share it in a community or share like a part of themselves. Because when I see you going through school, it's like I've been there and I know like being in the zone and in the mode of like grinding and grinding, it's like in many ways it's like you're in that with yourself. And like it's almost like, okay, I jumped through the next hoop. Okay, when's the next hoop? And sometimes it can, even in itself be hard to like share yourself because school can be preoccupying or, whatever avenue, or if it's work or if it's, for anyone else listening, if there's like this thing in your life that keeps you, structured. Um, yeah, like I would love to hear you speak to like the balance of like, you know, how you balance and how you really take care of yourself.
Yeah, well, like you said, with the routine of school and stuff, it kind of is a distraction in that you can kind of put the pieces of your day like back to back and get through it. But definitely like for me, I would say I'm not even really the best at balancing it. I definitely struggle with time management, especially with it being online.
Mhm.
Because I mean, like I'm sleeping, I'm playing PlayStation, I'm watching Netflix, I'm studying, all in the same area. So it's like hard to compartmentalize like what's happening when.
Yeah,
But
a lot to hold.
um, my favorite part of the day is definitely I like to do like jogging. So that's like my biggest like relief point is when I can get a jog in.
Mhm.
But other than that, like it's hard to balance because we're online doing like Zooms and stuff for anywhere between like 3 and 6 hours a day. So outside of that and eating and studying, it's like it's tough, but definitely, I guess it just makes me take advantage of my weekends more,
Mhm.
try to get my like socializing connection in then, but I guess it's hard to speak on that right now with everything being online
It's
because,
all such a new phase, totally.
yeah,
Yeah. And I want to leave us off, like to wrap us up with uh, our last question of, if there was a message that you could send a friend or even your younger self or something you would have wanted to hear, um, what would it be?
if I could send a message to anyone out there, I think I would say that you are so capable that your ideas and goals are super valuable, and whatever makes you tick and whatever you want to get out of this life and whatever you want to do or like touch other people how you want to do that, like you are so capable of it. And I think that with the time and energy and strength and courage, you can do whatever you want. So just let yourself know that you are empowered to do whatever it is that you feel you were meant to do because you're
Uh,
so worth it and you're the only one that can get in your way. So go out there and do what it is that you are called to do.
I love that message. It's like there's so many people waiting for you to work with you. There's so many people that you haven't even met yet that you're going to cross paths with in your life, whether that's in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years. Like, there are so many people waiting to be influenced and inspired by you. And, oh, I could not agree more. It's like, even in like these tough, challenging times where we don't see an ending or we don't see a timeline or we don't get to know what the structure looks like. And like it might threaten our safety, of like not knowing is like such a threat to the brain. And I think that what you said is so tender. It's like, yeah, every day you can give that to yourself and you can give yourself that message. And of course, like, please never hesitate to reach out to the Natural Highs community because we're here for you too. And um, Owen, I'm so glad that you could join us.
Same. It
And
was a great time.
I just love the messages you share and love you. Love you like
Love
a
you
brother.
too. Yeah. I hope that everyone has a great rest of their day and week. And definitely reach out if you ever need anything. See you
Bye.
later.
So, thank you for listening. If you liked this episode of This Badass Sober Life, please subscribe to our channel so that you get notified when the next episode is coming out. If you would like to connect with us, please find everything we do on our website, naturalhighs.org. And there you can also sign up for free notifications, free emails to all of our events, activities. You can also check out our store. We have beautiful guided practices, audios, video courses, and lots of ways how you can be part of the community and donate and support our work at the same time. So we'd love to be connected with you. You can find us on Instagram. We are Natural Highs Official on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. We are Natural Highs Community on Facebook. We would love to hear from you. So get in touch with us with your feedback. If you want to be a guest or have a guest recommendation for this Badass Sober Life podcast, We would love to hear from you. Please send us an email on avani@naropa.edu. And if you would like to be a sponsor or a collaborator, we would love to be connected with you. So get in touch with us. And in the meantime, be well and live your badass, sober life.